Welcome to the Nonprofit Edge, a podcast series to promote purpose in practice. Each week, this webinar series features an extraordinary individual that provides valuable and impactful services, helping to transform the capabilities of their nonprofit clients. Join us as we explore a variety of topics, all vital to the success of nonprofit organizations. Learn and grow from the experience and expertise of our featured guests. Without further delay, let's introduce you to the host of the Nonprofit Edge podcast series, Chris Looney.
Welcome to the Nonprofit Edge, a podcast to promote purpose in practice. Each week, the Nonprofit Edge features an extraordinary individual that provides valuable and impactful services, helping to transform the capabilities of their nonprofit clients. We're excited that you've joined us as we explore a variety of topics, all vital to the success of nonprofit organizations, and hope that you can learn and grow from this experience and the expertise of our guest. Today on the Nonprofit Edge, we're joined by Jeff Kliewer, founder of ViewSpark, the simplest way to send real-time updates to donors across multiple channels to increase giving and retention, a goal of all of ours, I know. And Jeff brings years of experience at the intersection of technology and philanthropy, and he's passionate about equipping nonprofits with the right tools to deepen relationships, to spark authentic engagement, and ultimately drive more impact. His work with ViewSpark focuses on reimagining how organizations move beyond transactions and into truly transformative donor relationships. Again, a priority for almost all of us. So, Jeff, thanks for joining. We're really grateful to have you with us.
Thank you, Chris, and what an introduction. That's very kind of you, and so thank you. I appreciate that. So it's great to be here and great to talk. So.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you. And you've spent a number of years inside nonprofit organizations in a variety of leadership capacities. And not so recently, but recently, in the grand scheme of things, took on this new goal of kickstarting ViewSpark, getting it up off the ground, and really helping nonprofits from a different kind of angle, a different mechanism. So I kind of wanted to just start with maybe a couple of minutes of you telling the audience about your background in philanthropy, your background in nonprofit, where you've been, and how you came about with this idea of starting ViewSpark.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what's interesting is there's a lot of similarities in what you and I have done. You're a career fundraiser. You come from a family of fundraising like myself. My dad spent 30 years at World Vision, or 50 years at World Vision, was executive vice president, ran all the fundraising and marketing there.
Did you say
So I
50?
50, yes.
That's insane. That is
Yeah,
amazing. I didn't
yeah.
know the number of years, so that's
Yeah,
cool. That is
it
so
was a
cool.
long time, but like, I mean, you started Fulcrum and Altruist, and like you saw a need, and it's so needed with, especially now. And this is getting to the point of like why I started ViewSpark. There's such a transition in fundraising and these days, and how things are going, and what you're doing is going to help us not just educate ourselves as fundraisers on the front line, but really bring that next generation in and make sure that they're up to speed and doing the things that we need. So, you started those because you saw a need. For me personally, I've been in fundraising 30 years. Um, I did everything from the agency side to working at a school to I worked for Joe Torre when he was with the Dodgers, the manager of the Dodgers, helping with his fundraising. That was quite an experience. Two stints at University of Southern California, so at USC. And what really happened for me, I was at USC, and I was in one of the labs, and I thought, why can't I pick up my phone, take a 30-second video of, the six kids using the microscope that Mrs. Jones donated, and say, Mrs. Jones, thank you so much. There are six kids using that microscope. Here they are right now.
Yeah.
And, boom, send it out, or send it to 5,000 donors. And, all we had back then was really social media, crowdfunding, website. There was really no simple way to capture that and send it across, whether it be text or email. And so I saw that need and I thought, okay, we've got to do this. We've got to do, and we always hear, and I really don't like this, but they always say that, nonprofits are about 10 years behind for profits
Yeah,
in
right.
in technology. It's like, how can we shorten that gap and bring us more up to speed? So I left USC with the heart of how can I create technology that really brings us closer to donors and make things happen quicker and easier and bring us up to speed. And that's how it started. So
Well, mission accomplished. I know you continue to grow and expand in exciting ways, but you took that vision and you made it real. So congratulations, and I'm excited that we get to talk a little bit about it
yeah,
and why it's important in the grand scheme of things as it relates to fundraising. Let's start with your thinking on the issue of donor engagement, prospect engagement, donor engagement. And I'd love to know what makes the difference for you between sort of transactional giving
mhm.
and transformational giving.
Yeah. That's a good question. Donors long for authenticity and validation. What did you do with the money I gave you? And what was interesting when I started ViewSpark, one of my donors um, said to me, "Hey, why are you leaving? What are you doing?" And I told him, "I said, I want to be involved." And he became one of our investors. Very, very wealthy man. And one day we sat down, we were having coffee. He said, I give to multiple organizations. I've never really heard anything from them, but they're doing good work, right?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, he's asking me, and I'm like, that's such a mistake. Like, it's so easy. I mean, here's a guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And as a fundraiser, why aren't we engaging that person? And so, typically we would look at, we got the gift, move on. We got the gift, move on. We got the gift, good, move on. And it's hard as fundraisers, when you're in that front line, you've got your goals. And like I hit my dollar amount or my contacts or my appointments, whatever it was. But we forget to stay connected with them and to
Right.
bring them along the journey. And so finding ways to provide those little touch points of updates. This is what's happening. This is what I did with them. I thank you for your gift. This is what I did. This is what we're doing, and bring them along those journeys as things are as developing with what they've given. That's so crucial, and we've got to remember to do that as fundraisers.
And
And it
and that
also makes
help
our job easier. It makes our job easier because they're going to give again. So
100%. Yeah. And so those touch points really is what separates the transactional type experience from the transformational type
yeah.
experience, I would imagine. Yeah. Why? Why do you believe so many nonprofits struggle to engage donors in these meaningful ways, despite the fact that there are seemingly so many more communication tools than ever
Yeah.
before?
I think it's really easy to overthink what we're doing as fundraisers. And we get caught up, and I see this a lot with ViewSpark and our clients. A lot of folks get caught up with, no, hold on, where's the logo going to go, and what's the placement of this, and does the pamphlet look perfect? Those days are gone. People don't. We have to think like donors. What do donors want? And it's really interesting. One of my dear friends, another investor in ViewSpark, another very wealthy individual, said to me one day, we were talking. He said, Jeff, I want snacks." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I just want snacks." He goes, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I just want little bits of information, little short
Oh,
updates of what's happening with the money that I've given." And
right.
I mean, it's like we don't have to produce the 5-minute video. We don't have to have everything perfect, in the hospital for the tour. It's like it's okay to show them some little grit and some things that are missing or broken, but you tell the story around that. And again, I just think we overthink it. I think we make it too hard to, and we miss the point of just getting out there and connecting with people and giving them those, as he would say, snacks, those little bits of information.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering what a snack might be. I guess I think about it in terms of breadcrumbs as well, right? Just that
Yeah,
term, leaving some evidence there that you're doing great work, that you're um, a good investment, that there is some outcomes resulting from the good work that this person might be investing in. So that's great. It's good perspective and a good explanation of why there might not be more meaningful communication with donors, or unfortunately, with all the tools, there's not enough. What are some of the most effective ways that you've seen nonprofits create real emotional connection with their donors and prospects?
Oh, man, I could talk for hours on this, and it's been so fun for me to see. So, with ViewSpark, our whole goal is to make it as easy as possible, like you said, to share real-time video updates with donors. One of
Okay.
our clients, Water for Life, they build wells, they dig wells in Africa. Uh, he sent a ViewSpark to his donors, and I got to see it. And he's standing there, and he said, "Hey, I'm standing here, and this is where the well is going to be. The crew is coming tomorrow to dig the well. Right by this tree, right behind me is where it's going to go. And these kids have never had water. We're going to be able to provide water for that school right there." And he goes on, and he said, "Look forward for an update." 2 weeks later, he sends another view spark, and he's standing there, and he says, "We just opened the well. There's water flowing, kids playing in the water." And he's like, "We just opened the well. These kids have never seen water before. And we actually think now that there's enough water, we'll be able to go to the next neighborhood down, and not just the school here. It's going to impact 700 people." I'm in tears watching this. And it's this
Right.
raw, real video that is showing, this is what we're doing with the money you gave. So you gave us the money to build the well. We're seeing where the well is going to go. And then a few weeks later, we see the kids playing in the water. Like, this is real. I mean, it's such a tangible vision and picture of what is happening with the donor's money.
Yeah. Tangible, real. I think you said it
Yeah.
right. It
Mhm.
brings what maybe was previously just an idea in someone's mind of what you would be doing with an investment, to
Yeah.
making it real, tangible, as you said, um, and exactly the connective tissue that you would hope to create with someone, and they're crying probably as much as you were, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and my dad, when we would talk about ViewSpark, he would talk about World Vision, and he would say, we raised hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. We dug wells, we fed kids, we built schools, and we did a ton of great work, and they did, and they still do. He said, but we never gave the joy of giving to donors. We didn't
Hmm.
show them what was happening. And now, ViewSpark or something else, there are so many ways to show donors what is happening with the money that they've given. And when we do that, again, it makes our job as fundraisers easier, because they're going to see what's happening, and they're going to give again. So
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
easy to
Yeah.
provide that joy of giving.
Well, it's just a great point to hammer home and reinforce all the time. The question that you need to ask yourself as a fundraiser, as a fundraising organization, is are we showing our donors and our prospective donors the work that we do, the impact that we're having, the beneficiaries of whatever investments that are being made? Are we showing that?
Right.
Or are we trying to use words? Are we trying to communicate in other ways that just are more limiting or less effective?
Yeah.
And I think fundraisers and fundraising organizations have to be honest with
Yeah.
themselves when they ask that question, right? I think
And
they,
it's, oh, good.
no, please.
I say it's also, we've got to get to a place where it's okay to have mistakes and to have imperfection. And so when you give the donor the tour, I remember the days of just like everything had to be spit spot clean and perfect and organized, but it's okay now to show them and say, this is what is happening here. This is what we're going to build. And, you know, that's a mess over there, but we're going to be able to do this and that. That's the goal. It's like, it's okay to make those mistakes and to show them, the authenticity, the real, the validation of what's happening.
Fair, fair.
Yeah.
Is there a generational shift that you're seeing, or recognizing that different generations view meaningful engagement different ways? Like how do you interpret, how do you make sense of the different generations that you're trying to reach in terms
Yeah.
of the work that you're doing?
Yeah. Well, everybody's talking about, how do we get to the Gen Z and the millennials? How do we get to the younger generations? And we really have to look at the trends, look at what's happening as fundraisers, like call a timeout and think about, okay, this is what we're doing, but timeout, what's happening in the world today? And so like one thing we know is that video length is, you have about 39 seconds of an attention span for someone to watch a video.
Good to know.
3 years ago it was 41 seconds. So you can get the and this is not a ViewSpark stat. This is a global
Right, understood.
stat. And so we look at that and think, okay, this is where the industry is going. This is where the world is going. The communication is going. And so if we're going to keep up with the millennials and the Gen Z and attract them, number one, we've got to use video because video is so much more effective than just still pictures or nothing. And it's got to be short. Our research shows 90% of people will watch a video on their mobile device, will engage with content, whether it be email or text. 90% will be on their phone. And with a video, you've got 39 seconds. And so my guess, I can't prove this, but my guess is they're sitting at a stoplight somewhere and it's red. And it's like, what am I going to do with myself on my phone? And they're, watch a video while they're sitting at the stoplight. And so, those are the types of things we have to keep in mind as fundraisers of the reality of our world. It's much more informal and raw than it used to be, kind of in the older days. So,
Yeah. Well, I go back 20, 30 years and you would only talk about the elevator pitch, right? This
yeah,
concept of having a very short amount of time to communicate the importance of something related to your organization. Maybe it was your
yeah,
mission, maybe it was something, but you had to keep it short. So that
yeah,
was back in the day, the term that we would, or phrase we would use to encourage people to keep it short and keep it impactful.
right,
And now
right,
instead of that sort of one-on-one elevator pitch, we're talking about the translation of doing that with video. It still has to be short, right? It still has to be
right,
impactful
right.
and all of that. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, can you share with the audience maybe some story where these small personal touches have made a big difference in the donor relationship?
Yeah, yeah. I could think of a couple things. Most recently, we had a client share. They had received a very large six-figure gift from a donor, and speaking of video, of course, they were talking to them on the phone and connecting with them in multiple ways. But they received the gift. They sent them a personalized video. Hey, thank you so much for the gift. This is going to create incredible impact for us, and here's what it's going to do. The donor
Yeah.
called and said, I've never received any type of connection or engagement around my giving like you're giving me. I'm sending you another gift. It was
Good.
just,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, okay, so that's working. But I think those little touches are so easy to make. I remember years ago, I was working at a school, high school, and there was a donor that was upset. I came in, and I think what had happened was he had his kids at the school, but he was also a vendor and it's was selling something, and they cut his contract and went with someone else, so he was all upset.
Right.
And so I inherited that problem. And I wrote him a letter and I said, hey, I hear you, I understand what happened, and I'm really sorry about this. It took me 5 minutes to write the letter because back then we didn't have, video technology and all that. But that little touch, I sent him a letter. We ended up having coffee together. He made another gift. And, it wasn't that I was this magic. It just literally was just a personalized touch, acknowledging what was going on and calling out and saying, hey, I'm sorry for this, even though I had nothing to do with it. But those little personal touches go so far with people. They want to be
Yeah.
heard. They want to be connected with. So
Yeah. Yeah. And is that the same answer you would give to sort of the question about how technology can help you scale that engagement without making it feel automated or impersonal, which is a huge danger, I
Yeah.
imagine, right?
Yeah,
Because
there's a lot of stuff you'll find out there that it's not authentic. I mean, again, I just come back to the two words, authenticity and validation. You've got to stay authentic and you got to validate what you're doing. Show donors this is what we're doing. Technology can help you do that, but it has to be real. Use it to make your communication easier and faster, but not automated and fake. And so,
but
like, and again, this is a ViewSpark piece. People say, well, can you create an automated one-off video to send birthday messages to donors? Well, you can, but how personalized is that? Kind of donors can kind of sniff that out that it's not really a personalized video. We've got one client that sat down and in 30 minutes he had sent 42 personalized one-off videos to donors. And again, like that's a ViewSpark, but like technology is enabling us to do that and to leverage your time to send that level of engagement and that connection to donors. And it really gives you the ability to treat middle donors like major donors. I mean, you can't take everybody out to lunch, but
and that's good.
technology can. What's that?
I was just commenting on how good it is that you've identified that gap that has existed for so long in terms of middle donors not getting the attention, not really getting
Yeah,
anything, but
right.
being needed to fill a very big void in giving. You know that
Yeah,
it's hard to make up the millions of dollars that you could get at that mid-level giving range, and it could be 5 and 10 if your major gift is 25 to 100 or something like that, right? It's a
yeah,
very critical and vital level of giving that's often ignored.
yeah. And one of the things we hear often when we're talking to new clients or even prospects is, what about our middle donors? What about our middle donors? People are really looking for that. And thankfully, with technology, you can really start treating them a lot better, a lot more, even in groups and in segments. It's great to do the one-off and say, Chris, thank you, da 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 da. But if there are 100 people that gave to one specific program, talk to them about that program. Don't talk to them about the other thing or the building campaign. Like you're able to do that now with technology and really personalize that touch. I've got another friend of mine who made a very large donation to an organization, and he got this letter, or an email, and he had a lot to say about it. He said, first of all, it's 15 paragraphs, and he's looking at it on his phone. And like, I don't have time for 15 paragraphs. Don't send that to me. It's filling up my phone and all that. But his comment was, this is all about Africa. So I gave to South America. Why are you telling me about Africa? I don't. I mean, it's wonderful. I'm glad you're doing that work there, but I gave here. And so even if you can't send that donor a personalized, hey, Bob, here's an update on South America, you could send the South American donors something specific about what they gave to, because it doesn't take very long. So, technology really gives us that ability to treat these middle donors like major donors.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose the danger, of course, is utilizing all the available technology that AI is creating to mail it in some ways, to
Yeah,
depersonalize it. It might feel very personal because the AI bot is able to um, talk like, respond like a human,
yeah,
but to your point, right now you can sniff it out and you can be turned off by it. Maybe fast forward 10 years, that will just be the preferred method
yeah,
of communication. It wasn't long ago that we were admonishing people not to ever text someone about their giving or about their connection to an organization, and now you're maybe more likely to get a quick and honest answer via text than you are email,
right,
certainly
right.
phone, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how our mindset shifts around what is personal
yeah,
with changing technology. But to your point, you can reach far more people now in an authentic real,
Yeah.
meaningful way with technology, which is great.
I
Um,
had a gentleman tell me a few months ago, he was presenting something and he said, look, I have the ability with AI to create videos and show people things that weren't real. Like I can create these videos of the program that's going on. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in that. Like I don't want to fake things. The whole thing we want to do as fundraisers, as a whole, is like show authenticity, show real things. And I like the phrase, and we have some AI things that we're working on that are really going to be cool. I like to use the phrase authentic AI. Like, how can
mhm,
we leverage AI to make our job easier and more effective and faster, but not fake people out? And
right.
so I think it's really important to do that.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want deep seek to be a deep fake
Yeah,
in
yeah,
fundraising,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's just obviously one deep seek being one AI generator, right? But uh, deep fake is something that I think we're all trying to avoid
Yeah.
and not be a party to. Um, and if you were, sort of in the seat fundraising today, and you had access to all of the different tools available to you, would you be choosing one over the other, email, social, text, video, or do you feel like you got to have them all in your quiver to be able to properly communicate? How do you line yourself up on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you really do still have to have them all. Um, but you have to prioritize what's working and where the trends are. Um, we used to say it was 7 touches to get a gift from someone. Now I'm hearing 12. It's 12, 11 or 12. And so it's a combination of the direct mail piece still. It's the billboard, it's the bus sign, it's the video that
Right.
comes. Um, so so you still have, and even social media. Social media has dropped. I mean, 10 years ago, we would talk about social media as such as a great tool. And yet it has drastically gotten harder and harder to raise money in social. The statistics show for every dollar you spend, you get 50 cents back. 3% of your audience actually see content in your social media. And I joke around, if you were to put something on Instagram, whatever, my wife would see it today, and I would probably never see it because I don't even use social media. But you still have to have it. It's still a part of the program, but you
Right.
have to focus your energies as a leader and running a shop. What's really working? And so social media was a big part. Then text has started to come on, and it was SMS text. And then now, in fact, we shifted all of our clients from SMS text to MMS text about 2 years ago. Saw a 40% increase in open rates. I mean, that was amazing to see what happened there. And video is so important now. So whether you're on social or email campaigns or on your website, text campaigns, video is crucial. It's 7 times more effective than an image to convert a donor. And so, I think we look at that, and Chris, as you know, like who knows what's going to be here in 2 years?
Right.
What's the next thing? And we'll
Yeah.
be talking about, remember when text was really big? Remember, that'll happen, but you
Sure.
you still have to do these things, but we have to be more responsible to say what is working and what are the trends. What are we
Yeah.
spending our time on?
Yeah,
So
good, 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 good. Well, as you have kind of been doing this now for a while with ViewSpark, what have you seen that is really the difference maker uh, with ViewSpark as opposed to maybe folks that are doing their own version of it themselves or with other vendors that are out there trying to create those meaningful connections with donors and prospects? What's the secret sauce, I guess, for ViewSpark in
yeah,
your mind?
yeah. Well, thank you for asking that. And you know, what we keep hearing back from fundraisers that use ViewSpark, um, they say, this is the tool we've always dreamed of having. It's focused on fundraising. It's not just a bunch of widgets and fun things. It's simple to use. Our clients spend about 7 minutes a week. It's got an integration of text and email. It's so easy to use. Um, that I heard a client tell me the other day that ViewSpark is the best way and really the only way they hear back from their donors. They get feedback and understand because it's two-way. You can get text messaging back, you get email back,
I
you
see.
get all kinds of content that's back. Um, I've actually, there's some, I mean, you could take an email, you can embed a video in an email and send it out. You could put a video in your social media, but every little thing that we've done and we develop is focused on fundraising. How can we help? How can we make your job easier? And how can we help you raise more money and retain donors? And so, I gave you the example like the texting. I remember a few years ago when we did that, we were moving over from SMS to MMS text, and I saw this other platform, and they had some similar functionality to ViewSpark, not totally the same, but they were really excited because they were releasing a new widget or something where you could have a dancing elephant behind the envelope or whatever it was they could do. And I thought, wow, that's, as a fundraiser, I don't need that. I don't want that.
Right.
I want it more opens. Like we found out, we did research, we saw, if you add the word video to your subject line, you get a 19% increase in open rates. And so it's like,
Fascinating.
okay, boom, every one of our clients gets that information. So how
Yeah.
can we focus as a fundraising tool on helping you raise more money and connecting donors? So
That's great.
that's my commercial. That's the best thing we can try to do
No,
with
it's
ViewSpark.
important.
So
It's important, and if they're not choosing to use ViewSpark for whatever reason, they're still going to take that advice and
yeah,
use the good advice about how to create those special
mhm,
connections and what's needed for the ease of use of the fundraiser and the enjoyment of the donor as well.
yeah,
So if a nonprofit leader is listening to today's podcast and feels like their donor engagement is a bit stagnant, what are some of the recommendations that you would offer to kind of get things moving?
yeah. Well, I come back to my same two words. You got to figure out how are we communicating authenticity and validation. And a lot of times we can get, bless their hearts, we can get caught with the marketing department that says, "Well, how big is the logo? And wait, what's the font?" And all these
Yeah.
pieces. And it's like I've never heard a donor say, "I didn't like the font you had on your giving page or on your website," or
Yeah.
this was. But what we know is, you know. It, if you can look at your program and say, are we using the latest tech? Are we still stuck believing that social media is going to drive our fundraising campaign? Are we still believing that direct mail is going to drive our fundraising campaign? You have to do it, and they are crucial parts of your program. But what is the latest piece? Um, and we've got, hundreds of users with ViewSpark. And we have those that are, and part of our program is texting. We have those that are not open to texting, and it's
Okay.
okay. It's okay. They can send emails and is still images or videos. But I would just encourage them, sit down and say, what's the latest? What are the latest trends? I use the phrase all the time, we don't make the rules, we just observe them. What is happening in the space? You have 39 seconds for a video. So our clients have 60 seconds or less. And I have people when they sign up and say, "Hey, can we get a 5-minute video?" I'm like, no, no one's going to watch it. No one's going to watch it. It'll make it really hard to upload to someone's phone. It'll take up a lot of space. Like there's so many reasons. So, look at what's happening out there in the space. Are you using video? Are you taking into account that 90% of people are going to look at something on a phone? When you talk about giving pages, and there are so many platforms that have giving pages, and they're really, really good. You know, well, it might cost 1% more to use another one. But if you look at the end result, we can get stuck on the 1% that we're spending more. But if you look at it, if 90% of people are looking on a phone, your giving page better look really good on a phone because
Yeah.
they're going to be here. But that 1% might be a company that actually can help you make a big giving page that looks good on a phone as opposed to, the one that's a little bit cheaper. So I think we can get stuck on spending money um, on things that or trying to save money and miss things that really could help. So
Fair. Totally
Yeah.
agree with that, 100%. Well, looking ahead, I'm interested in thinking about what's next in terms of trends in donor engagement. So, as you think about the future, what's most exciting to you? What should nonprofits be preparing for now that will be something important in the future?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we touched on it a little bit. AI, everybody's talking about AI.
Mhm.
Um, I think more people are talking about it than are actually doing it or using
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But I think there are ways to really leverage it, but keep the communication true, honest, real. Not like you were saying the deep fake, like not using it for deep fake, but use it for good and to make your job easier to communicate with groups of donors or individual donors.
right.
That's exciting to me. How can I make, it's 7 minutes a week to use ViewSpark, and our clients see a 5-to-1 ROI, which is about double what you see in digital. How can I make it 4 minutes a week? Is AI going to make it even easier for me for a fundraiser just to pick up their phone and send something and make it that much easier? That's the thing I'm excited about.
Yeah.
So how can we use AI to take your expertise, your mom's expertise, everybody at Fulcrum's expertise, pull that in and help them create a video that's even better, write some copy that's even more effective to communicate their truth with their donors. That's
Yeah.
I see really good use for AI and honest.
Yeah. No, that's good. I can
Yeah.
imagine that as you look to the future, you might be able to have your phone or your application take a picture of something, and the person might say, here's what I'm looking at or what you're looking at. Tell me a way that I can change this picture, the angle or whatever. Tell me who needs to be in it. Tell me what my script should be so that it maximizes the potential kind of
Yep.
positive response of a prospect or donor, right?
Yep. Yep.
And that might already be happening. You're probably smiling because you're saying,
Well,
Chris, you're so behind that
no, 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 no.
our folks are already doing that.
Ask me about that in about 6 months.
Good, good, good.
We've
Well,
got,
it seems so
we,
important because like I go back to this concept of people tend to buy houses or spend more money on houses that are fully furnished and decorated because they lack imagination. And as good as a fundraiser is, or as good as a donor is, there's still that reality that you need to be in the imagination business. You have to be in the creative
yeah,
business of creating a story, um, giving them uplifting language or the right kind of words, telling them a story that's going to help them respond more positively. And God bless us all. We're pretty limited, most of us, in terms of our creative ability to tell a tale, tell a good
yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing more about the power that ViewSpark has and will continue to have in the future, unlocking technology, unlocking things, but yet um, making sure that it connects people to people,
Hmm.
right? I mean, because at the end of the day, this is not just a picture that you're sending, right? It's a video that you're sending. What, real quickly, like as you think about the videos that are being sent, what are the key elements that go into that video to maximize the positive impact? Is there a call to action in this video? Is there a particular vision of
Yeah,
something? Is there a voice that
yeah,
is more powerful? Like, tell me, like, let's
yeah.
dig in real quickly into those kinds of specifics.
Yeah, what we continue to see is keep it simple
Okay.
and keep it raw. Focus on one thing. You've got 25 things going on in your program that are really cool and awesome, exciting. What's one of them? Talk to me about that. And raw is better. The shaky camera, because again, it's all we've been trained by social media and how we've communicated. Now it's really short. I mean, I never write a script when I'm talking to my friend. We just, hey, what's going on? We kind of talk in slang.
Yes.
That's now how we communicate in our world. I'm sending my wife, hey, a picture, hey, look at this, and it's boom, it's really raw and real. That's what we're seeing is working in technology. When we started, we had a client create a video set, and they were in the East Coast in Delaware, freezing cold, middle of December storm comes blowing through, and he's standing outside. It was a rescue mission. He's standing outside. He's got his phone. I'm standing outside. It's freezing cold, but thanks to you, everybody's inside and they're safe from the storm. The wind is blowing so hard you can't hear him because it's blowing into the microphone of his phone. And it's like, hey, everybody, I'm outside. Everybody's inside and safe. And I saw that, Chris, and I'm like, this is a total disaster. It's one of the first ViewSparks, that went out. I said, this is a total disaster. You can't hear him. It's shaky and the lighting is bad.
Right.
Thousands of dollars came in. You know,
Yeah.
we had another client. Their forklift died. He went out of the warehouse, grabbed his phone. Now I always tease him because he cheats. He uses a selfie stick. So he's got a selfie stick and he's like, hey, I'm out here, no script. We need a new forklift. And behind him was, this forklift just died and we need a new forklift. I could buy a used one, but I need about $20,000. We use it every day, whatever. Well, within an hour, he had several $1,000s come in. A major donor walked in on Monday morning and said, hey, I saw your video. Here's a check for $30,000. It took him 2 minutes, 3 minutes to record a video and send that out.
Right.
So the magic I'm seeing is it's happening now.
Yeah.
It's real. It's raw. I'll tell you one other story. We had a client responding to one of the hurricanes. It might have been Katrina. I'm not sure which one it was in Florida, but I'm a smart guy, and it's a global client. They were based in Texas, and he's in his office. He's not even in Florida, but he's preparing to respond to the hurricane. So he grabs his phone and he turns around. He's got his laptop and the TV above his laptop with
Right.
storm updates going on, CNN or
Right.
Fox, whatever
Right.
it was. Hey, I'm here, and we have pre-positioned supplies. We're getting ready to respond. The hurricane's going to hit any minute now. Sent that out to his donors. I mean, the response was unbelievable. I'm like,
Yeah.
the creativity of that. I'm not there. How do I show the storm? How do I show that impact? Well, I used TV to do it and just said, hey, we're going to be there when this happens. So help us.
That's good.
That's what's working.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And what's the
Yeah.
cadence typically for sending these videos? Is it once a week? Is it less frequent than that? What's your advice in terms of the cadence? Because you can
Yeah.
overdo it, right? You don't want to turn someone off.
You can, and what we typically talk about, and this sounds crazy, we talk about once a week. We talk about send a video once a week with an update, a thought, a prayer request. This is happening now, a result. Don't ask for money. Just give them an update. Tell them what's happening. Maybe once a month, ask for a gift. Now, of course, in November, December, we ask 25 times a day because it's the end of the year, like we typically do as fundraisers. But really that cadence is that once a week, hey, this is what's going on right now. If you've got an event or something happening, like one of our clients, the property burned down, they had to rebuild it. I'm standing here and he's literally walking us through. He's like, this just burned down hours ago. We're going to have to update. And then the next day he said another one. Those urgent situations we do see. I always call it, you have permission to send more communication because there's something going on like that.
Right.
But really, if you think about once a week, you'll probably do 3 a month, because you get busy and you forget things.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
but when you're not asking for a gift every time, when the content is different than the way we've been communicating, October newsletter, it's really this is happening now, or what a great response, or that type of thing. That's really what's working with donors, those short 39-second videos on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's great. And
Yeah.
it doesn't completely eradicate or replace the need for the other forms of communication
Nope.
that
It all works
we're,
together.
yeah,
Part of
working
those one of
together.
those 12 touch points.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah.
12
And
today and 15 tomorrow.
Jeez. We did. I did hear someone tell me the other day that they sat down with one of their major donors for lunch. You know what the touch point, and they said we didn't even have to ask because we asked for the gift because and the guy said I've been watching the videos and I'm sure he's seen all the other touch points and social or whatever. He said I've been watching the videos of where you're at and here's my check. And so like he didn't even have to ask him for a gift. He's like it was already up to date. And ViewSpark or not, that's what technology can do for us with those types of connections and touch points, those 12 touch points, which maybe are going to be 15.
Right, right. Well, it just makes the education of prospective donors that much easier when
Yeah,
they're not relying on you for a 2-hour lunch to get all caught up
right.
on business items. It's here's, some recent news. You've seen all the videos. Let's talk about the family and let's have a nice lunch, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's great. Well, as we wrap up, and even though you might have said it multiple times, I'd love to know what you would ask listeners to remember or take away from the conversation today. So we've talked about a lot, but
yeah,
what's most important? What would you want the
yeah,
audience to understand or take away from today's conversation before we call it quits?
yeah. Well, big picture, whatever you're doing, whatever technology you're using, whatever social, whatever direct, whatever you're doing, keep it simple. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Get out there and make mistakes. Do you think? In fact, do I have time for one more story?
Sure, of course.
Okay. What my first gift, when I was at USC, I didn't have any idea what I was doing. To be honest, and I just started calling donors. In fact, one of the surgeons said, "Call this guy." I call him, and he, I asked him to have lunch. And we sit down and have lunch. And he says to me, he says, "Jeff, I'm really sorry it took me so long to get to the phone when you called me. I just had gotten home from surgery that day." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea that his surgery was like that day, and I didn't even notice it."
Call the guy because I just sewed him up and he's on his way home.
He did make a nice gift, but and he was grateful. But I didn't know any better, and I didn't even think to ask, "Hey, when did he leave the hospital?" So, but I think we can get so caught up in research and looking at things. All of those things are crucial, but activity is what makes the difference. Get out there, make mistakes, be active, connect with donors, send raw content to them, videos, text messages, emails, personalized letters that are kind of. I have the worst handwriting, but I still try to write letters. It's okay. It's okay. Donors aren't thinking like that. We got to think like donors. What are they thinking? They're looking for snacks. They're looking for snacks. That's really the key.
Good, good. Looking for snacks. I'm going to remember that forever. So,
Yeah.
um, great advice from start to finish, Jeff. Great advice. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being such a force for good and being, the expert in this space that you are. You've really helped the audience understand donor engagement in a meaningful, authentic way to a whole different level. And we're excited to see the growth of ViewSpark and all of the organizations out there that's going to help. But that brings us to the end of today's podcast. And I just wanted to thank Jeff and thank all of you out there in the audience for joining the Nonprofit Edge. This is a podcast to promote purpose in practice. And we're just so grateful to be able to explore all of these expert voices to help all of you fundraisers out there do the important work that you need to do in a more effective and successful way. So until next time, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. Also, the Lead for Good podcast and the Mastering Fundraising podcast, all available to you wherever you like to listen to your podcast. So until next time, thanks, Jeff. Thank you all, and we'll see you very
Thank
soon.
you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for joining us for the Nonprofit Edge, a podcast series to promote purpose in practice. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation and learned some important lessons from our featured expert. We always want our content to be informative and to position nonprofit leaders to succeed. Please join us again for our next podcast. In the meantime, we wish you all the best and encourage you to learn more about Fulcrum Nonprofit Leadership by visiting our website at www.fulcrumleader.com.